Hi everybody, nice to have you here. Henrik here from Vilnius Permaculture. So it's a beautiful morning here in Lithuania. It's end of September and still warm in the daytime. Last week was horrible. I tried to work, in daytime around 2-3 o'clock, but it was like 27, 28 degree in the sun. It was, you know, killing me. It was killing me. So every morning we have this staring competition, me and Shiho, and he always win. Here he comes now. He wants to be out in the forest. Shiho, yeah. And I want to be inside and take a cup of coffee, but he wants to go out. So, okay, we go out here in the forest. So, very nice. Everything wakes up. Everything is moist. Yeah, it's a little bit cold, but it's okay. Yeah, I see you. I see you. Dad, where have you been? Where have you been? Yes, this is the favorite part of his day. When starting here in the morning, going out, and he can investigate the areas. Because in during the night, the animals are here in the forest, in his forest. So he has to investigate. Yeah, you have to investigate you. And he has been doing this since he was 2 months old. So he knows his forest and he wants to be out here. And it's cold now. Now it starts to get colder, so Gio starts to get more, active. During the summer when it's really, really warm, he don't want to do anything. He just wants to, be in the shadow, doing nothing. But now, standing there every morning, looking at me really seriously, hey, we have to go out there. We have some business to do. Yeah, yes. So, what do we have here in the forest? Well, we have boars. So, we have deers. We even have an elk. We have foxes. We have iller. We have minks. So we have all these kind of animals, and of course mouses. And today, because we are here out in the forest, I would like to spend some time talking about building a food forest. Cross, of course. Yeah. There is many things you want to consider when you're building a food forest. So when I started, I was thinking about, you just plant some trees and let them grow up and you put some stuff under it. Pretty much. I was reading some books and I was watching on internet, and this was 8 years ago now, but time's running fast. And then you come out here and you start to see how everything works. And everything change. There are more things to consider, because suddenly when you're out here in the forest or on your fields, where you want to build your food forest, you realize, my God, I'm only one person. I need to be at least 10, because if you don't work with nature, you're going to have a lot of work, really a lot of work, and you will probably be crushed and give up, because you can work and work and work, and you see no result because, you know, in the forest things happen, and when it grows like crazy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes. Yeah, yeah. Oh, you're very dirty, Shio. Where have you been with your nose? Yeah, where have you been? Yeah, where have you been, Shio? Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. He's so serious now. Now he's a grown-up boy. Yes. Don't want to play anymore. Just want to hunt and, you know, guard and sitting there checking everything out. Yeah. Well, back. You get crushed because it's so much work. So we have something in nature which called succession. That means that more or less all nature is in different stages and it wants to be some kind of a forest. Mm? So in permaculture, in books about forests and ecology, uh, you have this idea that you should work with the succession, and for that you have to go out in the forest and see how the forest works, how it looks like and how it behaves, and then you a little bit copy that. Mm? Not you don't in a food forest you don't want a full blown full successional forest. No, you want to be somewhere in the middle where you have some normal high trees, not too high, and you have space between the trees, and so you can have bushes and other kind of layers of bushes and plants that also grow a lot of food for you and so on. But what's the problem? When you go out in a forest, it's not a forest, it's a planted forest. And a planted forest is not a real forest, so you cannot really look what's happening. In Sweden and also here in Lithuania, there is not much real forest left, so there is no way you can go out and watch it if you're not lucky to have a place beside you where you live where there actually are some kind of real forest. So where I am now, this is not a real forest. I have that on the other side. Yeah. So it's big different to have a real forest and look what's happened there and what's happened here. But anyway, why do you never get a real forest? Because things happen. We say there is disturbance, and I'm here now in a place where it is disturbed. You see, there is light coming in. Hmm? So this is nice, but in a planted forest, the sky is totally covered by branches and leaves or things like that, and there is nothing down here. So if I go over there to another part, there's no life there. It's totally quiet. And this, you cannot watch this kind of forest, this planted forest, because it's not behave like a real forest. In a real forest, you have disturbance, and that means that something have happened. A lightning, a fire, pests, animal going in there. So something have collapsed, and you have sand pockets, and it starts. The succession starts all over again. You have fallen branches, you have fallen trees, you have different kind. So you have different kind of spots in the forest. So different parts everywhere. This is what I have down in my other part of the forest. Yeah, I'm so lucky. So actually I didn't like to have these planted forests, but now I'm really happy because I can really go from this place to my other part of the forest and really see the different. It's very easy for me. I just when I walk in here, this is how it looks like in here, and then I go to the other part and say, no, it's different kind of trees. So here we have two, three different kind of trees in this planted forest. And then I go over to other place. There are maybe 70, 80 different plants. Right now I'm going around with the plant net and checking what kind of trees and plants I have here. And I see over there, wow, there's so much variety, it's so much diversity, both on the ground and up, and the trees and so on, and trees that falling and what's happening around that, and all this kind of special features for a normal forest. Yeah, well, it's not normal anymore. This grown forest is the normal. So looking at the forest when you want to grow your own food forest is pretty hard. So yeah, so voila, now I'm down in the other part of the forest, and here everything is totally different. It's a totally different feelings. It's Here's a lot of birds, sort of sounds. The oak tree here behind me is the acorns are falling down, so you hear this. You There is a lot of other different kind of sounds that I cannot explain, but and you also see that the different age of the trees. All the trees are not, planted at the same times. So here you have high tree, low trees, you have some bushes, and it's also wetland. So the open space here is because half of the year it's underwater. So that's why nobody wanted to plant that, trees here. So they just left it because they cannot come in with big machines and tractors and so on. So it's never been interesting. But here we have this other kind of forest, the old kind of forest. It's not a Swedish troll forest, but it's nice. And then we come back to the questions. Yes, we want to copy and we want to look at the forest, what's happening, so we can build a good functional forest for ourselves. And why do we want to build a functional forest? Why do we look at the forest? Why can't we just, plant an orchard with the same tree and just harvest like we always have? Well, this forest here is feeding itself. You don't have to come in here with fertilizers and pesticides and so on. You don't need. It's circular. The ecology in here is circular. It feeds itself, you know. So there's very little job. So here we come to the essence of food forest and why it's interesting and why we need to do this, and not just going on like we always have with normal orchards and so on. Here we have a self-sufficient system. So we humans don't need to be involved in here, very little. That's one of the part. A lot of yield, different kind of yield, and as you can see here, like I said, it's not 70, 80 kinds of plants that I said over there. It's 70, 80 different kind of trees here. So we have this diversity of everything. So this we take with us into the food forest. Yeah, we want the diversity of different trees that we want, because they give us different things. A walnut is not a hot nut, is not a hazelnut. They are different. So it's nice and funny for us humans to be there because we get different kind of flavors and tastes and character on what we get from the forest. So this is one thing. The other was we have very little impact. We don't need to work our ass off here. We just, harvest. But we have to build that correct. Otherwise, we work like crazy. The third is it fertilizes itself. We don't have to buy things. We don't have to driving with tractors. We don't have to shop poison and so on. Everything takes care of itself because there is diversity. If there is a pest, there is something eating the pest. Mm? And they are in harmony because we have this multiverse of different kind of species. Nothing gets too crazy. Mm? We also see here in the forest that the sun comes in. It's not too covered. Even here, now it's late of the year, so all the it's maximum kind of green leaves here. So some parts are too shady, but we also have these sunny parts. And we see in the sunny parts there are more diversity than in the dark spots. So this we have to take. Okay, we cannot plant it too tight if we want diversity, if we want to plant things under and beside the trees. If we only want trees, then we can, of course, do that. So, but we humans like to have many different trees, and that means many different kind of edibles is what we can eat. And then next thing we see in the forest, what is a lovely forest? Yeah, you see here different kind of trees, different smells, different shapes of everything. It's not just straight rows. There's not one straight row here. It's not. It's a little bit hilly. It goes up and it goes down. It's interesting. It's mystical. The diversity in not only in trees and plants, also in all other kind of shapes and how it changed over the year is interesting. So we create our living space. It's healthy to be inside here, and we feel it. Different kind. It's a little bit warmer in some places, a little bit colder. So here's so many niches here. So when we create this diversity, we also comes in with the rest of diversity. Diversity in animals, birds, and shapes and weather and niches for many different things. Let's make life interesting. My space where I live and I exist gets more interesting than just asphalt and cement. So this is why we come out here and gets inspired. But then we have to, go in, sit down and start to thinking, what do I want out of my special food forest? What if you want to start to plant? What do you want to get out of your food forest? And that is the first start. First, the start of building. But first is, oh my God, I got hey, I got acorns in my head here. The first is you go out and get inspiration in nature. And that's, I said, it's complicated because you have to find the correct nature. And then you go in and see, what do I want out of my food forest, of all these things that it can give? So I've given some examples, but you have to go in and see, okay, I really love apples. Okay, it's a good start. Then you will have some apple trees. I also like pear. Okay, so the classical cherries, walnuts, and then you see how should I combine all these kind of things that I want. Because I don't think that anybody is so boring that they only want to eat apple the whole year. That's the only thing you want to eat. No, you want all all kind of things. And there we have to leave the trees, because the tree cannot support you with everything you like. I don't think so. But they are they can support with many things, of course, gigantic many things, but not all. So therefore we come to why a food forest and not only an orchard with trees up and down. No, we also need to have bushes for berries. We have to undercover. We might want other things growing under the tree and beside the trees that we also want to eat. And all this we have to plant like the forest, so it's survive, so it's self-sufficient, self. Uh, it takes care of itself. We should not do it for them, for the forest. So that's the hard part. Actually, it's not hard, but the nature is advanced. You don't have to be advanced, but nature is advanced. But there is some small parts that you have to get it right. That doesn't mean you make mistakes when you do it. That doesn't matter. You can do a lot of mistakes. You just have to work harder. But if you make less mistakes, then life is really, really easy. So what do we want out of our food forest? Wonderful place to be and live. Fresh air, fresh nature, interesting nature. Change all the time. So there is always something new when you come out here. You want great food. You want to follow the seasons when all the food is ripe and you walking there waiting for it, and oh my god, some bees get before you and took my fruit, or some birds or so on. Little bit, the competition there. Yeah, it's also interesting. You want to also not work too hard. I like to work, but not so I'm totally crushed. I want to work, be able to think and plan and so also, not just push it to the limits every day. And you want to harvest all these things and go in and make nice foods of it. So it will be your whole life. It will be your hobby when you start. It will be a big part of your life, maybe your whole part, because it will generate so much, so many things that is very hard to imagine when you start. And of course, I cannot imagine living in a place where Shio cannot be out here running around. You know, should I go with him in a leash in the city and he just go there, you know, sniffing on other dogs' pee? No, it's not interesting. No, I see how happy he is out here, so I'm also happy. So, and the last thing, well, nature needs you right now. We see it everywhere. It's burning, it's drought, you know, too much water, too little water, chemicals everywhere, nuclear waste, food shortage, collapse, too little bee, too much bee. We need to be out here and help nature, build nature together with nature. We don't build. I can't do anything. Nature can, but I could support. I can push it. I can help. This we all need to do now. It's the most important thing. So me and Shio will continue to walk around a little bit more. We have some parts left that we haven't checked this morning. Have a nice day.